It says you are live. There you go. We are live. Welcome. Just winging it. Thank you for joining me. Those of you who have been subscribed to this channel, which was born just a few months ago, welcome back. Those of you who are reaching this channel via the newly opened avenues that I've had uh, due to some circumstances that popped up in a long story that I felt like sharing with everybody, just because it's something that you could end up um, having to deal with yourself in the future. And I can help you out now in retrospect with a few tips to prevent what's happened to me and what to do about it if it does happen. My name's Bill Murphy with Let's Get Physical Distribution here in Davie, Florida, outside of Fort Lauderdale. Coming to you live from my studio named Studio 94, a hybrid recording studio and pretty high tech, high end Dolby Atmos demo room. It's an opportunity for me to show off the equipment that we distribute at Let's Get Physical and for my own enjoyment as well. I have an exciting new product to talk to you about, a great brand that we are now distributing. I'll go into some detail about some very, very exciting cinema speakers for home theater from a great company called Mag Theatron. I'll go into some detail about that later. We had an episode a couple of weeks ago where we started to get into it, but I'll go into a lot more detail, including pricing and possible system arrangements that you can do with these amazing speakers. But first, the story that got me where I am today with uh, urging you to subscribe, like, and let's talk about a little bit about what happens if you subscribe. It's not an invasive thing. You're going to get a little red dot in the corner if you have a YouTube account that'll notify you if you click on it to let you know there's a new episode. Hopefully, it won't be anything more than that. You're not going to get on any mailing list that we'll be bugging you with or anything like that. So we do appreciate the subscriptions. They help in the long run because um, due to some, fortunate circumstances that I've had several thousand followers accumulated over the last decade or so from a couple of different industries that I've worked in. A lot of what I'm doing now um, is relevant to these people, and I'm glad to have you here. And just having you subscribe to the channel gives me a subscriber count that's high enough that maybe my content will spread out to other subscribers that want to see this kind of content. You know how this stuff works now. So let's back up to September so I can tell you my little hacking story. I work for this company, Let's Get Physical Distribution. We had to go to Denver, Colorado for the 2024 CEDIA Expo, and part of that adventure was me actually driving a trailer pulled on my truck out to Denver with some of this new equipment that we have, and it was quite the trek. But one of the big surprises I got when I arrived in Denver was I saw an email on my phone that said it was from Facebook/Instagram saying your Instagram account was accessed. Was this you? And it was 4 hours prior while I was on the road in the middle of the night, and I knew that it wasn't me. So I sort of just acknowledged that it wasn't me. But at that point, I realized it was too late. Now, to tell the story even further, I have to back up 20 years ago when I bought a domain name called Murphonics.com. Murphonics was a name that I'd come up with my brother, that we were going to combine both of our personal music businesses together under one umbrella. And we started a website that is actually, you can look at it now. We can talk about it later. That's one of the funny parts of the story. And I was putting a website together when, we were all first learning how to put a website together. And I kept that domain name for this whole 22 years or so. And until I accidentally let it expire sometime this past summer. Now, the email address that I had been using for my Facebook account, and then again, subsequently my Instagram account, since they're the same company, was under that domain name. So at the point that the domain name expired, and I somehow didn't pay attention to the 30 days grace period to buy my own website back, um, my accounts had been hacked, and my Facebook account and Instagram account both got suspended for posting inappropriate content on Instagram. So I was unable to access it. I was unable to verify it. Now, what had happened leading up to how could I let a domain name expire? I have several, BillMurphyProductions.com. I have Nobody'sFaultBand.com and BillMurphyShow.com for my podcast. So I have to keep track of 4 domain names every year or every 2 years, depending on the renewals that I do, and keep up with them. And leading up to the time that I lost my website, I was receiving emails telling me that my domain names had expired when in fact they hadn't. And when I checked the email address from that email, it turned out it was not the company that I have my domains registered. It was a hack attempt. So I ignored those, and then I ended up ignoring a real email that came through telling me that Murphonics.com had expired. I didn't pay attention to it, and it did expire. After the 30 days grace period, somebody bought it, parked it in a private domain name registry, I suppose is how you would put it. And then my attempt to buy it back led to an offer of $3,000. I think it was $2,500 originally. And to where I said, well, I don't need that domain name anymore. I'm using BillMurphyProductions.com. And in not so nice terms, I kind of told them to forget about it and moved on. So, and then over the next couple of months, and here's the worst part is that I was at Cedia Expo at the time that I discovered I couldn't get into my Facebook account. We had just set up a beautiful booth. I wanted to show it off to my social media network and was unable to get into Facebook. While I was in Denver, I made a couple of quick attempts after Google searches to try to get somebody to fix that for me and got duped into another scam that an operation was pretending to be somebody who can regain your accounts, and then they did not. And in fact, they told me I was being charged $5 for the service, and then shortly after I started the process, I was charged $65 or $64 on my on my PayPal. I've since had all that refunded and have been just kind of watching my step. So I was unable to post really any content from Denver unless I started a new page. Started a YouTube channel, had 0 subscribers, 0 ways to get it in front of people. And that channel, this channel that you're watching now, Inside the Home Theater, now has about 75 subscribers. If you're watching this for the first time, I really urge you to subscribe. It would help me out greatly as we try to grow this page where we will be sharing some great high-end home theater equipment. So what ended up happening was I gave up on the whole idea of getting Murphonics.com back, and I figured I would just live with a new Facebook page and a new YouTube channel and just start from scratch. Well, that's not as easy as you would think it is. The band that I play in, Nobody's Fault, we rely heavily on our Facebook followers. In fact, the whole live cover band scene basically is measured by your Facebook popularity. That's all there is to it. How much you get paid and how much you get booked pretty much primarily depends on your Facebook following. So we were dependent on that. And I didn't learn that until a few gigs later when people were not showing up in the numbers that they were before. I know I knew it was no fault of the band, no pun intended, but it in fact did affect the turnout of the crowd. So I started looking back into trying to get the Facebook account back. And that's where I found an incredible company, finally, after hours and hours of researching, Googling, trying, calling people, vetting them, realizing they weren't really going to help me out, or trying to contact Facebook directly, which is literally impossible unless you have some assistance. Hacked.com, just as it sounds, HACKED.com. I had a guy named Aaron there that I got in touch with via email, explained my situation. It was a situation he was familiar with, that they were able to work with me for just a few $100s. And I got it solved in less than 3 days. And now I've got the Facebook page back, and I've got my Instagram account back too, which I haven't really been using, but I suppose we will be. So that's why we're on Facebook Live right now and on YouTube Live at Inside the Home Theater. That is the channel that I will be doing a lot of these demonstrations and explanations about all this great new gear. So Thanks again to those guys at hack.com. And I urge you, if you have any problems at all with being unable to access any of your accounts at all, I would highly recommend these guys, and in particular, Aaron. I think I can share the screen and show you. This is the funny part about what happened with Merphonics.com. I never did buy it back, but I'm going to just open it up here to show it to you. I just decided to just leave it alone. However, the person or the bot that bought the page has it live. And for some reason, they were able to access the content I had with, there we go. So there we go. I'm going to share it right now. So is that, yeah. So there's the page that I started with my brother 20 years ago. I have not used this content at all in over a decade, maybe even 15 years. And it's very, very 2004 looking. This was when websites were first, um, we were first starting to put together our own websites. This has MP3 clips and demos of things we did 20 years ago when I was first starting to learn Pro Tools practically, or actually when at this point I was teaching it. Now I see the Bill Murphy Show is on there. It's displayed up there. So that means I was using this page up until about 2016. However, this content has not been live at all for years since I have been doing the show. I mean, since I have been redirecting it to BillMurphyProductions.com, which is very interesting. So that content hasn't been live, and now it is by way of whoever owns Merphonics.com. Now, I don't even know if they know that. I think this was an automated process that was done by an algorithm in a computer that just was a predator, so to speak, to go and get my website. So I don't think they even know that the content is live. I've been told there's a copyright infringement case I could chase down if Merphonics.com was valuable enough for me, but that would be thousands of dollars in lawyers that I don't really have to go by. So if you want to get a good laugh and look at what our very primitive website looked like 20 years ago, feel free to visit Merphonics.com. All right. So a couple of weeks ago, as I was said earlier, I was starting to tell you about this new brand of speakers that we have brought over to the United States from Ukraine. And it is an amazing brand that has been around for decades as a commercial speaker company. You would see these speakers from Mag Audio and big concert events in Europe, in sort of array setups, giant systems, big, huge box subwoofers. And then also they started Mag Cinema, which is commercial theater speakers and amplifiers and equipment that are just spectacular. And they have been operating out of Ukraine in their own facility, making everything from top to bottom, which is one of the things I'm most excited about this company. You don't see this that often, where every single part is done in the Mag Theatron factory and not farmed out from anywhere else. Nothing comes from China. Their shipping goes from Ukraine to Belgium to the US, and it's a very easy process. Ordering is a 3 to 4 week process once you decide that you want to get Mag Theatron equipment. And I have as I've mentioned a few times, the only US demo room active right now with Mag Theatron equipment. Unfortunately, I am temporarily down because of a repair that I'm waiting on from my great Anthem AVM 70. Has never given me any problems until now, but there's a little bit of a noise problem on a couple of the channels, and it's being worked on as we speak. Hopefully that's back in a few weeks. And then by that time, I will have finished building this room with all Mag Theatron speakers, including the 4 CS44s on the ceiling, along with the 5.2 that I already have set up in here. And let's take a look at some of this Mag Theatron stuff so you can get an idea. This is basically the performance series that we have been working on mostly to this point, primarily, and these are the speakers that make up the system that are in my room. If you go right at the top here, there's the M8, the CS44s that I was talking about. Their Atmos speakers are the ones that are on the middle there on the left side. They have 2 4-inch speakers in them, and that directed waveguide tweeter in the middle, like the other speakers are designed. And I'm really looking forward to that. I'll be driving them with a 4-channel Mag Theatron amplifier, which I'll tell you about later in the presentation. This is the M15. Now, Mag Theatron Performance Series has 3 sizes, the 8, 12, 15. My demo room that I have is equipped with 8s, and they are L, C, and R in all 3 sizes. And that is to designate the design of the horn, the high frequency horn, or waveguide, I should say, that points the dispersion of the titanium dome tweeter that's in there more into the middle of the room, so you're not wasting a lot of energy on early reflections on the walls. It makes up for the towing in that you would like to do with your speakers, but you can't if they're behind the screen like this and laying flat across. This way you make up for that by having that little bit of dispersion on the left and right and having it redirected. The Hammer 15 is a perfect companion with those M15s. If you can picture a big cavity behind an acoustically apparent, transparent screen, and you would have the L, the C, and the R, and then in between those spaces between the left and the center and the right and the center, you would stick these Hammer 15s for just an incredible experience that all comes right from your picture. And I have 2 of these in my room to go along with the M8s, which we'll look at later. Some of the specs on these things are pretty impressive. I'm going to need my glasses to kind of look in at these. I'll kind of recite these along with you. The Hammer 15 brags a frequency range of 16 to 140. The amplifier that you would pair it with would be the TDC 3200, 1600 watts per channel is what you would drive into these ideally. And that one is rated on paper as only 20 to 20. So you would wonder, how would you get down to 16? The combination of how the port is built and the design of this cabinet, along with that amplifier, trust me, it is getting way, way lower than those numbers would tell you. As you can see, max continuous SPL of 124, which is crazy, and rated at 1,000 watts. 4 ohms, and you can see the size of it. Net weight is 56 kilograms. I know that's more than 100 pounds. They are beasts. Beautiful speaker. Here's a 3200, the TDC 3200 watt amp that goes with those. You can see 20 to 20,000 there, but some different power ratings depending on the ohms that you're going into. Signal to noise ratio is 100. Let's see, what else did we was very impressive about this amplifier. It is a Class D amp, and I can tell you that running it with the Hammer 15s for substantial long periods of time at very high levels, I couldn't even notice if there was any warming up, much less heating up on these amps. They practically felt cold after a long time. These would be the Atmos speakers with a continuous SPL of 110. You can see it's a 4x4 and a 3/4 inch dome tweeter in there as well. And a bracket that comes with it, so you're given some options on whether you would want to put them, let's say if you're sitting in your room facing you, if you would want them perpendicular to you or parallel to you in the front or back, or maybe a combination of both where you could angle them more towards you. So depending on the size of your room and your available space to mount them, you've got a number of different options with the CS44. Here's a look at the speakers in white as they are available in white. Now, they are designed to be behind speakers, the M8s, ML, and, or I'm sorry, the M8L, C, and R. I mean, they're small enough, and they do come with optional grill covers that you can put on these, but then white is an option for obvious reasons. If you're not going to have this in a traditional theater room and you wanted to dress up your living room with some real high-end equipment and you need it to be white, there you go. Here's a look at the Thea Thor 24. It's a subwoofer I have not been able to get my eyes on in person. I've heard a lot about this bad boy. 24-inch driver, 4.5-inch voice coil, ridged glass fiber reinforced cone, 2,000 watt power rating. Net weight, what is 207 kilograms? So what is that? 300 pounds, something. Anyway, 24-inch driver there, just amazing. Frequency range again of 16 to 140. And the thing about these Mag Theatron speakers is that they give you that commercial cinema feel. So they have a real serious physical rumble to them. Oh, by the way, anybody that's watching this live, you feel free to chime in with any comments. Anything goes in the comment section here, anytime you'd like. But in any case, these numbers are accentuated and kind of enhanced with, or I should say, they're not really showing and indicating what they feel and sound like, because just the sheer volume alone and the construction of these, there's a very physical sound to them. If the Hammer 15 is any indication of how you know very exciting and physical, it's the best word I can think of, that they can sound, I can't imagine what the Thor 24 is. There's a look at the M8 close up. Now, if you see, it has this was how I have it set up in my room, which is horizontal because of my restrictions. I don't have an acoustically transparent screen. I don't have a projector. I'm using an 85-inch panel. So I have these right under the panel on left, center, and right on stands. And in that situation, we can take this tweeter, as you see, the horn, the wave guide on the right of the driver, that can be rotated 90 degrees. Is it 90 degrees I'm talking about, or 180? I guess 45 degrees, 90 degrees. But in any case, you can turn it so that it is not horizontal, it is vertical. And therefore, if you're standing it up, then the waveguide sits the way it's supposed to be and disperses sound the way it is. And this is set up for horizontal. So that's an up close look at the M8. And here's also some more pretty impressive numbers on these things right here. You got a sensitivity of 95.5. 118 max continuous SPL, frequency range all the way down to 65 up to 22, and that's at minus 10 dB plus or minus 3 dB. You got 75 to 20,000. 4 ohms, 8-inch woofer, 2-inch voice coil, and of course it's got that beautiful titanium 1.75-inch voice coil on the high frequency driver, that titanium dome. So not a true horn, so a hybrid, if you will, or just a waveguide sort of pulling it around there. Here we go. Don Hensley tuning in. Appreciate it, buddy. Tuesday at noon, if available. There you go. I don't know if you heard the announcement earlier in the show, but my room is temporarily down just because my Anthem has had to go in for repair. So I do not have the availability to do that this week. Let's put that off for about a month, Don, unfortunately. I hate to say that. But that's when we'll have it fully equipped with Mag Theatron speakers, including the Atmos speakers as well. So it'll be worth the wait. Here's a look at the M12, the one that's right in between. Again, nice size, great construction, and a very physical sound on this one as well. Intended to be behind the screen. And you have the LCR, so you have the different dispersion for the left and the right, so that it's directed more towards the listening space and not wasted on the walls to the side. So that's a great look at the M12. The surround speakers, the S8 is what I'm using in this room. Maybe a little overkill for me. I probably only need the M6 or the S6, but the S8 is, and these are not upside down. These are the thing that's unique about Mag Theatron's surround speakers is that they're meant to be mounted a little higher. And in that case, you have the high frequency section of it on the bottom of the speaker so that it comes straight down over the top of your listening area. Instead of trying to make it over the top of the person sitting next to you, their head, or the seat cushion behind their head, or the one behind yours. These are meant to be mounted up just high enough so that they can poke them back down with that, again, specifically directed high frequency waveguide there underneath the driver. So that will push the sound down into these. I mean, good enough speakers to be used in mains. But again, specifically designed for surround, for your side surround or your I guess that's my last slide of that presentation. Or your rear surrounds. They work ideal. I have them a little, pretty high up on the wall, high enough now. I have mounted them correctly and got them up high. And my surround speakers, the first, I should say the 4 and the 5 of my 5.1 are higher and behind us and pointing down up over the top of the back of the seat. So it does a great job of getting across there. And there's a lot of energy coming out of these speakers. And then what I'm going to end up doing is these speakers that I've up until now, until I had to tear everything down, the I was driving them with my vintage Bryston amplifiers, and now I will be moving to Mag Theatron Class D amplifiers of significantly more power. I did some math, and the total wattage in this room is going to go from about 3,800 watts to, I think, 10,400 watts. But of course, I won't be using nearly all of that. A lot of this will be very clean and very transparent, and it's very exciting to look forward to. So that's the story with Mag Theatron. Of course, very briefly, we're also the representative for our Evolution. I can't get my my logo on my shirt up on there. There you go. But it's also on the screen behind me on the screensaver for my beautiful Evolution Player One 8K. The Evolution players are all in stock. We even have a couple of NAS in stock, the new US version of the NAS storage. Probably by the time you see this, if you're not watching it live, if you're watching it a couple of days later, we may have sold out on that, but we do have plenty of stock on the Mini, the Pro 8K, and the Player One 8K. And we also have the new Bluetooth remote, which is backwards compatible as an IR remote and with a little few added features for the legacy Zapiti players. But for any of the newer players, it is Bluetooth programmable, so that can help out a lot with those of you who can't get direct sight to your player to use the IR. So that is available as well. You can find information on all the brands. There's a brand new Mag Theatron section of our Let's Get physical.com website coming very soon. Should be published any day. We're just sort of going over it one more time just to check for typos and that kind of thing, but it's just about ready and it's spectacular. If you need any of the retail prices, as a end user of these speakers, feel free to contact me at bill@letsget-physical.com. You can drop me a note here anytime, make on the comments from this video. If you're watching a couple days after we've done this live, just throw in a comment there on how I can get in touch with you. And again, you can reach me by email at bill@letsget-physical.com. If you're interested in becoming a dealer of these speakers, we are very anxious to get them into your demo room. At least try this Mag Theatron subwoofers with an amp to enhance one of the systems you already have, and then you can build up from there. If somebody's got a room that's big enough for the M12s or M15s, please get in touch with me. We'll get them over here as soon as we can and get them in your room. But if you do want a good demonstration and to get a good listen at the amplification and the speakers here, you can get in touch with me and book an appointment. You'll be here 30 minutes and you'll be sold. You can stay as long as you want, by the way, but you'll probably have made the decision that this is how you want to go after about a 30-minute demonstration. So that is open to you at any time. Well, we got more people like joining in live as we speak. So we really appreciate you going along with this journey of me trying to climb up from the bottom, because I've had this channel for now 3 months. I've posted about 15 videos, including some shorts while we were at Cedia. And I've still only been able to get about 75 followers. And that's because of the story that I told earlier, that I was unable to access my Facebook page, which has been around for 15 years. And I really appreciate everybody on there, because I know a lot of you peripherally from a lot of the other work that I've done in the past. And it's good to see you and get in touch with you guys every once in a while. But I have not been around, been just invisible and irrelevant for 3 months now. And because of that, I've only been able to accumulate the 75 followers. I'll kind of reiterate what I was talking about when I first got on, is that if you subscribe to the channel, there's nothing invasive is going to happen. Every time you get onto your YouTube page, you'll see a little red dot next to our logo, and then you'll know we have something new. We're not going to put you on any email list and bug you about stuff. We're really just looking for the numbers so that my subscription count can be high enough that this content will show up in other people's searches that are doing this kind of work in the industry. So we got a little bit of a kickstart with what happened with my solution with hacked.com. By the way, that is a fantastic company that I worked with. They're legitimate. If you ever look it up and see hacked.com and think that it's some sort of a scam, you don't have to worry about it. They are legitimate. And it'll only take a couple minutes for you to check and see their ratings and 5 stars and reviews that they've had. They took care of my problem, which I tried to solve for about 90 days on my own. Solved it with a little help from hack.com in less than 72 hours. So it was spectacular. And instead of being extorted for $3,000 from the person who stole my domain name, I got it taken care of for a few $100s with hacked.com. And I highly recommend them. Ask for Aaron. Tell him I sent you if you do need some assistance with that and need to reach out to hack.com. I want to talk a little bit about the other brand that we do take care of. Oh, by the way, if you're a dealer or you're a customer of ours that are familiar with them, and you know that we have stopped distributing the Revon and Magnetar brands, I have some perfect, fully warranted Revon X100s. Yes, they do the DVD audio. They have been tested. 4K UHD works just fine on these. We all know now in retrospect how buggy some of the Revon players may have been, but I definitely have gone over these with my tech crew. But shout out to Allie and Gary, by the way, the guys that come and do our warranty work at our office in Davie. They know everything going on with those players. They know them back and forth, and we know every possible thing that could go wrong with them. So I have set aside a half a dozen or so, I think, of the Revon X100s. They retail for $699 instead of their original $899 price, and they are as good as new and fully warranted, like as if they were brand new. They don't even really have any cosmetic damage at all. If anything, they've had less than 10 hours use on them. And trust me, some of the players that have come back and some of them that have been repaired or returned have not been able to be fixed up to a level that we will approve it to go out. But these are here. And in case you thought the Revon was going to be impossible to get, and you want to get your hands on one of those, you can order that at revon-us.com. And that website will only be up long enough until the rest of what we have in stock is gone. So there's that with Revon. So we're still hanging on to a few more, and feel free to get in touch with me for those. Bridgee Cables, Bridgee, high-end cables. I think I might have some stuff here from Bridgee. Stand by. No. Oh, I do have one picture of one of their cables. This is the first detachable 48 gig optical cable, so that you can actually remove about 3/4 of this end, so that you can get it into a PVC or a conduit that you have with other wires, and you only have limited space. So that way you can get that HDMI cable through on that long run with everything else with this detachable setup that they have with this cable. This is just one of about, honestly, 6 or 7 different high-end models of HDMI fully optical 48 gig HDMI cables. They also make some very high quality audio cables as well, including XLRs for your processors. But the big selling factor of the Bridgee is that it is incredibly durable, and the HDMI connection itself is so advanced that you're going to get a guaranteed handshake and probably faster response back and forth with some of that two-way communication that you get with your HDMI. Very reliable brand, very high end, not stupidly priced like some high-end cables can be. So that's all I'll say about that. BridgeeTech.com, BridgeeTech.com. I'll put all these URLs down in the description under the video. and you can get in touch with those as well. But make sure you get in touch with me. The Mag Theatron speakers is an exciting product that we know is going to be making a big mark in the home theater market, and I'd love to give you an opportunity to hear them as soon as my stuff is up and running and I've got everything back. Please like and subscribe. Tell your friends. Please share. We're not out to bug anybody. I'm just nicely asking for some more support by way of your subscription so that I can get that subscription count out and play with the big boys in the home theater equipment market. Thanks so much for tuning in tonight. Enjoy the rest of your weekend or the rest of your afternoon or night, depending on when you're watching this replay. We're going to try to post some more content at least bi-weekly and weekly if there's more stuff to talk about as well. Again, check out all our brands at letsget-physical.com. The Mag Theatron addition to that page is coming soon in just a couple of days. So just bookmark that for the future. And of course, you can check out Mag Theatron directly at mag-theatron.com. And you can contact me for details on the retail prices and such and availability at bill@letsget-physical.com. Thanks again for tuning in. Thanks for sharing, liking, and great to be back in the social media scene with all you guys.